Hi, my name is Kylie Dawson, and this is my presentation about the AIDS crisis. In the 1980s and early 1990s, HIV and AIDS outbreak occurred in the US and the rest of the world. The disease originated from a chimpanzee in Central Africa. AIDS was first discovered decades earlier, but the first case didn't appear until the 1980s. In June of 1981, Gaëtan Dugas, also known as Patient Zero, was the first reported case of AIDS in San Francisco, California. Suddenly, many people were getting sick and dying from this disease that was first thought to be a form of gay cancer. Here's a news report from 1982.
Scientists at the National Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today released the results of a study which shows that the lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic of a rare form of cancer. Robert Brazil in Atlanta. Scientists at the National Centers.
The AIDS crisis was an epidemic that the government refused to acknowledge. During the AIDS crisis, the government didn't take the disease seriously, which resulted in over 100,000 deaths by the end of the decade. President Reagan was criticized for not supporting more active measures to contain the spread of AIDS. Many people in power had a hard time understanding how severe the disease was. The US had ultra-conservative people running the country, and most people got AIDS from doing activities that conservatives and the church didn't approve of. Victims of these diseases suffer from health issues, and they still had to experience discrimination, like being thrown out of their houses, workplaces, or even communities. The crisis brought about homophobia towards gays when the disease would eventually come out to affect all people, despite the stereotypes. Here are some protests for the AIDS crisis. Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, one of the most popular bands in the 1970s, contracted AIDS. Freddie was one of the most well-known celebrities that had announced they had AIDS and tried to get more attention and awareness for this epidemic. Mercury continued to fight the battle against AIDS until he died on November 24th in 1991. Queen had an AIDS awareness concert held on April 20th in 1992, and it was called the Freddie Mercury Tribute Concert. Freddie continued to spread awareness about this disease even after his death. In 1991, Magic Johnson announced to the NBA his HIV diagnosis, which helped put an end to the stereotype that HIV was a gay plague. Magic Johnson retired from the basketball and planned on educating the youth about this disease. He showed many people that you could still live a happy life with AIDS or HIV during a time when being diagnosed with this disease was known to be a walking death sentence. Magic Johnson was known to bring the AIDS crisis out of the darkness when society was insensitive towards victims suffering from this disease. Here's the video of Magic Johnson announcing to the NBA his HIV diagnosis.
Apparently tested positive for the
Here's just a little clip of it. I'm not going to show the whole thing.
California, Magic Johnson. First of all, let me say good afternoon, late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained.
Another celebrity that brought attention to the AIDS crisis was African American tennis star Arthur Ashe. He contracted this disease through a transfusion of tainted blood during his second round of heart bypass surgery in 1983. Arthur showed to many people that you can contract AIDS from a simple blood transfusion during surgery. A well respected tennis star getting AIDS was an eye opener for society because it proved that anyone could catch this disease. Ashe became a vocal spokesman for the fight against AIDS and continued to battle until his death at 49 in February of 1993. The AIDS crisis is an example of how slow government response and misinformation led to intolerance and only worsened things. In times of hardship, like the AIDS crisis, the main reason for intolerance was fear of this disease. Often, when people are faced with situations they are afraid of or uncertain about, they turn to blame or discrimination for things they don't completely understand. People began to lack empathy for people living with AIDS virus because of their own selfish beliefs. Over time, intolerance begins to manifest itself into societal norms and laws because when people in power and their personal beliefs end up controlling decisions made for our nation, it not only affects the people being oppressed, but it affects the rest of our society that they are supposed to protect. One thing I think we should take away from this AIDS crisis is that no government help leads to more people dying and things getting out of hand, an uncoordinated situation. We should learn from our mistakes in the past, and for future viruses, pandemics, epidemics, we should have faster government response so that people are not suffering and dying from diseases that could have been contained. We must also remember that the AIDS crisis is not over. People are still suffering from this disease to this day, and the fight is still going on. Thank you for your time.